everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking Mode. I'm Caroline, and alongside with me is Sarah. Before we go into today's episode, I'm gonna have an announcement to make. This episode marks the beginning of our new series, which we used to dedicate to talking about like the differences between Eastern countries versus Western countries among different aspects of our lives, from film and media to food, cuisine, and lifestyles. So I'll leave it up to Sarah to introduce to you our first episode.
So, hi, I'm Sarah. And so, to kickstart our new series, we're going to talk about childhood and everything about, we compare childhood here in the West and in the East. So, let's get started. So, the first section of today's podcast, we're going to compare the difference in activities that the children in the East and children in the West, what they like differ in terms of activities. So, Caroline, what do you children? What do you know about children in the in the West play in their free time? Is it different from children from the East?
I to be honest, I don't clearly know because like I haven't lived in Western countries before, but I have a rough guess that I think they would participate in more, exercises more than us when it comes to like physical exercises. So they would hang out with their friends more in terms of I don't really know, but you know how in our country, Vietnam. So when we were children, so we have these traditional activities that we could do, and so I figure for the Western countries, I haven't heard of a particular maybe traditional activity that children there do because for example, America is so diverse in terms of cultural that there isn't a single type of traditional activity that they do. So I guess that they would just maybe hang out with their friends and I just know that children in Eastern countries like Vietnam, they have, traditional maybe activities like we discussed in previous episode that they usually do. And other than that, they just, participate in extra classes, I suppose.
Right. So I believe that I used to have a conversation with an English teacher. He's from America, and he told me that basically it's different because he's around like 50 years old now, and so back in his time he had this like video games, but like the old one, like Pac-Man and like like that, and it's modern back in that time. And before, like prior, maybe back when he was 5 or when he was 6, basically he said that there's nothing. It's like here because there back then there wasn't like the internet or anything. It's kind of like our parents like in Vietnam. They also told us that like in the 90s or like or further like 80s, they just spent time with their neighbors or with their siblings, hanging around or talking or like taking part in maybe hobbies such as
And chores as well.
yeah. But I believe that so I've read a little, and I think that one of the activities that children in the East like to play or like to do, it's playing board games, because I feel like there are a lot of board games that from the East, like on the market. For example,
Monopoly.
yeah, Monopoly. What else? Some like Connect Four. Yeah, Connect Four, right? And Ticket to Ride. I think did you have that?
Yeah.
Ticket to Ride. Yeah.
So what do you think about the quality of their childhood when it comes to like nowadays I've seen a increasing trend where parents would send their kids to extra classes super early, not like academic classes, but like artistic classes, like even instrument or vocal or even some sort of that. So do you think like the quality of childhood and the time that children spend like playing and entertaining, has it decreased, and has the quality of their child changed?
Right. So I think that in terms of sending kids to extra classes or any other skills class are very common right now, not just in the east, right, but in the west. I feel like there are more and more classes or courses that are dedicated to teach children a wide variety of
Agree.
skills. And it's I do agree that it's becoming a trend because I think that we're living in a more competitive world where you just have to do just have to do anything, and you need to know, like, okay, you need to know at least an instrumental, like, yeah, at least you need to know how to play piano or violin, or you need to know at least a sport or some kind. And kind of like tending to move forward a more holistic approach. But however, it's the same for those are like that is only for the case where parents have the ability to afford those kind. But in terms of poor children, I guess, like, not with wealthy parents, they don't have those chances. Just like anywhere in the world where you don't have the money.
Yeah, I do feel like the quality of their childhood decreases. Yeah, because with extra classes and also the development of technology, of course, and social media and games, like modern games that which are designed to be addicted to. So I don't know about that, but yeah, I do agree that children nowadays they have so many things on their minds, so many expectations even put on their shoulders at such a young age. Like even for me, I didn't I don't know how to play an instrument and any sort of that, because like even though my parents did send me to a course, not I wasn't that patient to maybe learn. And I'm not resentful about that. Yeah, so I don't know about children nowadays having to spend the majority of their leisure, their free time doing exercises like that. And I think it's both beneficial and harmful. But we talk about it being a trend, and when it become a trend, it's kind of excessively omnipresent. And yeah.
But like, do you think it's kind of like catch up with the development of the world right now, where because we
Yeah.
have all sorts of technological advancements, and so it's kind of like inevitable for
Yeah, that's why I said it's beneficial as well. But I don't know, because today it's not a rare condition or rare circumstances for children to master piano or guitar at such a young age. It's become a commonplace situation. So um yeah, and when it becomes such popular like that, and I don't know about that, because I'm not too sure if that's beneficial or it's backlashing and doing more harm than good to the children.
so
So
now we'll be moving on to the parenting style, right?
yeah,
What are the different styles when it comes to parenting in the east and in the west?
for me, I think that in Asian, we're just talking about Asian cultures now, because like we have experienced it personally. And so in Eastern countries, especially Vietnam, I would say that the parenting style, it's more authoritative in a sense, and not in a bad way, but there's a deep-rooted belief that uh, children are to obey their parents at any cost, and if they were to maybe talk back their parents, that would be considered inappropriate and even ungrateful of them. And so because of that entrenched thoughts within our minds, we are, yeah, very obedient to our parents in every sense. But compared to for Western countries, they are more independent of themselves. And even though parents they have a say in their kids' life, I feel like that's not much. And the majority of situations, the parents have to maybe be on equal stance with their children when discussing about every subject. So that's a main difference that I see, but I'm not sure because nowadays the world is changing, and maybe Asian countries Asian countries parents are not going to be that authoritative like they used to be in my day at least. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that it's when it comes to parenting, there's like a stereotypes, right, for parents. So if you said that you're coming from like Asian countries, then they tend to have this mind, like they have this mindset saying that, oh, you must be having mom, like tiger moms, or those who would, because it's a very common stereotypes when it comes to parenting between the two regions. And so
Yeah.
with the East, they tend to be more like independent, given their children more space, but the thing is, I think that it has to do with a lot with the educational level of the parents as well. So yeah, you would think that so you think that parents here, and like Asian parents, if they have like a time when they study abroad, coming to,
Yeah, of course.
they're more open-minded,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
I
that the
get
way
you.
that they educate their child is more, they're less strict, but like more listening, and more like a friend rather than authoritarian figure.
Like it circles back to the serious stereotype you said. Even though they can be more open-minded, people still think they are authoritative. Yeah, because of that stereotype.
But still, like the according to like the researchers, and they, like parents from the East, they tend to pay more, for example, to spend more time to help their children with the homework. And
Mm-hmm.
like the top 5 countries, most of them are like Asian countries, like India, anyway, but like most of them are coming from Asian countries, that they tend to help children with their homework, and tend to like Hong Kong, they have like the highest average spending for children in education. And so I think that when it comes to this like parenting style, and in terms of education, parents from the Asia are more like, they have this deep rooted I guess like mindset when it comes to education, that children must be this way.
Okay, so moving on. So we all know of a kind of comparison between children in Western countries and Eastern country based on their level of confidence. So when we see, for example, an Asian kid, for example, on TV versus a American kid on TV, the level of their confidence, it's very vastly different because of the way they talk and the way they respond.
Mm.
And so gradually it ingrains in my mind at least that because of the parenting style, somehow in children they're more confident, when even in social condition or even in class. So why do you think they are the way they are? Like.
Um, so coincidentally, I think that I had this, talk with my mom last week,
Mhm.
and which she mentioned that, so when you live in the country where you are restricted, you have like this freedom of speech, but most of them are like very restricted, right? It's not like you can say anything. You just
Mhm.
have to be very reserved in public places, or even at home. There are things that you cannot just talk. You just bring out, it's even a crime. And so and also with the level of like the scope of information that you receive, of course, here you see, here in Vietnam and in the US also like totally different in terms of information. We're restricted to a lot of information, and so that the way that we communicate are kind of shaped because of that. So whenever we think, or when we think about something, there are barriers surrounding us. If we think this way, then that would compromise our moral values. So we're not allowed to think above, like beyond what the society dictates. So anything that comes to it, it's more like it's there, like the preconceived notions, and just have to take it in with you. And so eventually it's kind of forms a habit way of thinking and communicating. And so that you kind of like every time you say something, I think that you are being affected by those, barriers surrounding, and you cannot just really speak your mind, even though right now we are living in a more open-minded society, but still, the culture, you cannot just change it.
So yeah, it's interesting. So a little background, not like background, but like story. So you know how in Asian countries, some topics are considered taboo and inappropriate. For example, menstrual health, and for example, yeah, very intimate topics like that. Even though like we are like parents and children, we cannot really openly talk about those topics with each other, even like privately or something, let alone like publicly stated in, for example, media or on press. A little fun fact about me that so I enjoy looking at those very intimate topics, just to educate myself and just to maybe educate myself on those matters. But because of the constraint that I feel, that when my parents hear me, or see me learning about these things, they would feel, kind of, uncomfortable in a
Yeah.
sense. So I tend to watch those contents in English so that they cannot fully understand what I'm comprehending. And so that's kind of sad, but at the same time, I don't know how to explain it, but I have to compromise either my, wanting to expand my horizons or my parents' comfort. So that's one example of my life and my story that just shows that the stereotype and the bias, not bias, but like the deep rooted beliefs and mindset in Asian society, that is so deep, and that sometimes, even though we are still young, even though we are children and teenagers, we are still judged and we are still restricted by those beliefs in a sense. So we have to maybe find other ways to do if we want to do it.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's a very cool examples when we're looking at things like that. It's like no, eventually it becomes normal thing, and you just go with it.
Yeah.
There's no yeah when it comes kind of like normalize this whole thing, and it just becomes normal, and we just don't really care much more. Like we just keep on going with what we
Yeah,
think
I
that we need to
agree. I don't.
educate. Yeah.
Yeah, because like we have to learn at the end of the day. Like we cannot just leave it there, So yeah. Okay, so last part. So what do you prefer more for yourself? Like the Asian, not the Eastern way of spending your childhood, or the Western one?
Well, I think that even though like the regions play a very important role in the way that we shape our characteristics, and but I feel like I prefer like to have parents that are open-minded, and feel like I could use them as a friend. And it's very very important how on what they think more than where they come from, even though that's play a very big role. But
Yeah.
with the changing society, and they have more access to the internet, and as well as the connections that could help them see things and change their ways of parenting. And I think that it's very good. How
Yeah.
about you?
I agree. Yeah, I do. It's weirdly that I want a world that is between these two regions, because I feel like living in Asian society, we are more protected and we are safer. I think personally, compared to living in Western country, because we are exposed to a lot of, I don't know how to say it, but because Asian parents, they are usually more protective of their children. I'm not saying that to be offensive to anyone, but that's my opinion. And so I think, yeah, I would rather live in Asian country, but like you, I prefer to have open-minded parents who are maybe not up to date with our current trends, but who really understand at least our generation's mindset and our generation's shift in this world.
Yeah, because I think that even we're living in a world with two different mainly two different types of parenting style. I think that is still great because each of them had its own merits, and so as long as they can embrace the goodness within it, then I think that's okay. Yeah. So this is a very cool question. So what do you prefer more for for when you have children?
I wrote that. So for me, I think yeah, I would still do. I would really want to raise them in an Asian household, but I would try to be more mindful as much as possible, like I want from my parents. Yeah. So you know, I would strive to convey a balance between Asian, more authoritative side of parenting, but also a very equal and open-minded approach to maybe parenting style like that of Western country. Yeah. What about you?
I never think of myself as a parent, but I think that if I were, to have children, and I think I would, teach them like all the cultural values, because I think that I think we have that in, Vietnam, and I think that is very good because instilling more like sense of morality and to our children, and our wonderful culture. I think that is very great. But in terms of education, I think that I'll like lean more into like taking a more, I say, holistic approach and letting them choosing what they want to study, so that they could maximize their potential rather than imposing on them what I think is best for them. So I think that's a wrap, right? That's a wrap for our first episode of this new series. So we hope you like it, and if there's anything you would like to add, then feel free to comment down below. Stay tuned
Stay safe.
and stay awesome. Bye.